Good morning, everybody. It's 10 a.m. It is March 27th. Welcome to my channel. Welcome to my channel. Now, the markets did a little selling yesterday. Kind of broke this small little balance area um, in that 58.22. High volume node was a problem. I talked about that yesterday in the beginning of my video. Also, the big level above the NASDAQ as well. That level, just so I'm not. That level is 207.34, and the bottom of that shelf is about 205.45. That's where that hit yesterday. So that's what's going on this morning. I mean, obviously we got tariffs coming in on automakers. A lot of auto stocks are down this morning. So that's what we have going on today. Welcome to my channel. My name is Steven Gonzalez. I use market profile, volume profile, fund structure in the markets, along with supply and demand, gamma exposure levels, the most traded price of the year, the month, the week, and the previous day. That's my edge. That's the way I look at the markets. And I hope that it imparts some of that wisdom on you. So every day, I do this in the mornings. Come join me. All right, we go over the story, the market news, the economic calendar, leaders and laggards, and of course, I give you long and short trade scenarios at, and a little later, right? And if analyze the Nasdaq and ES futures. If you enjoy my content, please smash that like button. Okay. Now, let's look at the watch list here. Who's leading the pack here today? It's silver. Silver's up 1.78%. VIX up 1.36%. We're back almost to a 19 VIX, 18.58. Gold's up 1.28. 10-year yield is rising again. Ethereum is up 0.98. Bitcoin's up 0.55. The Dow is only up slightly, 0.08. Russell's flat. ES is down slightly, down 0.11. Crude's down 0.11. The dollar is down 0.23. The Nasdaq is down 0.25, and the 30-year bonds are being sold down 0.73%. Moving on to the Max 7 Plus. Today we have Tesla leading the pack up 0.71, followed by Berkshire Hathaway up 0.52. Now we got some laggards here. Meta's down 0.69, Broadcom down 0.71, Nvidia's down 1.68%. It's been very volatile of late. AMD got a downgrade this morning. They are down 3.4%. Let's move on to sectors. Sectors, who do we have leading the pack today? It's financials up 0.14, which is not much of a leader. And then we have energy down 0.15, technology down 0.23, and semis really getting hit down 1%. Down 1%. Okay? That is your sector and watch list update. Now we're going to head over to some economic calendar and some news. Alrighty. Today we have GDP. GDP's coming at 8:30. We have jobless claims. We have pending home sales at 10 a.m. Sometimes they move the market, sometimes they don't at 10 a.m. Just be aware of that at 10 a.m. Tomorrow we have core PCE. Now, going into news. Trump drives trade war fears as auto tariffs pound allies. Okay, then it says exclusive China. H3C warns of NVIDIA AI chip shortage amid surging demand. Let's see. Trump administration tells oil and biofuels groups to hash out new biofuel policy. And then China Z to meet with BMW, Mercedes, Qualcomm CEOs. And let's look at some other news here. Bank of America saw an 80% jump in mortgage applications between January and March. Its executive of consumer lending said. Interesting. Probably because rates have been falling, but now rates are probably going to go back up with the 10-year going back up. We'll have to see. Let's see here. See, Meta Platforms, the company's WhatsApp, got the backing of an advisor to Europe's top core in its fight against the EU privacy watchdog. Let's see here. Qualcomm, global heads of German automakers BMW and Mercedes, as well as chip giant Qualcomm, are among foreign business leaders due to meet with President Xi Jinping this week. Okay. United Health Group. The company has removed most mentions of its diversity, equity, and inclusion policies from its website. TechCrunch reported on Wednesday it was not clear whether United Health pulled down the pages to represent a shift in terminology or an actual change in its policies. Now, let's see. There's the AMD's downgrade. Jefferies cuts target price to 120 from 135, and Tesla Daiwa Capital Markets cuts target price to 300 from 420 of Tesla. Okay, Lululemon reports earnings, and that's what we have there. Now, if we go to the juice, all this stuff is about tariffs. We already know, we talked about the auto tariffs, but that's basically moved the European markets down. All right. So that moved European markets down. Those automakers are getting hurt this morning. Okay. Now let's see if there's anything update here. Not sure if there will be. Not really. Nothing really there. All right. Let's move on to daily charts. Okay. And daily charts. Here we go. Here we got the SPY, right? All right, so we zoom in here. Got this downtrend line, right, all the way up here, and that has been resistant along with 200-day moving average. Now just look at this candle. It took out the day before and Monday. Took it out. Just tried to fill this gap. All right, partially filled the gap. That is not a good sign. All right, pretty much engulfed 2 days with one candle. Okay, and we're back under the 200-day moving average. Okay. Who knows if now this is a swing high and we go lower? Don't know. Okay, where are we at now? 568.30. We are 568.30. We're at the lows of yesterday. So that's pretty bearish. People. The market's accepting lower prices. That's pretty bearish for the time being. Okay, take a look at futures. All right, so in futures, you are pretty much, those are just anchor VWAPs. I wouldn't really pay attention to that as much. Let's look at right here. You can see now there's a daily supply zone here. You can see we're back in within last week's range. Back inside last week's range. Okay. Moving on to the Qs. All right. We're at the Qs. You got any trend lines here? Let's see. So the Qs. So the Qs also, I guess you can call that resistance to the 200-day moving average, right? And then boom, took out both those days, right to the 90-day daily, and we started to try to fill this gap back into last week's range, right? Where are we at now? 483.30. 483.30. Yeah, we're at the lows yesterday. So bearish price structure, right? Now, I didn't talk about this before, but if we push up, right, and that was, we thought we had a move here. If this was a test and we're coming back in, look for the market to go all the way back to around 472, 473. That's balance rules. Okay, that would be a look above and fail. And we're going to come back, at least test the other side of balance. Okay, let's look at futures. You can see back inside last week's range right here. Okay, right at the lows. See, you can see right at the lows yesterday. Okay. Quick look at the Mag 7 ETF. Similar, very similar. Look, tried to get across the 200-day moving average and couldn't and failed. Right, so it's going to look very similar. Okay, very similar. All right, let's go to your bond market and your triple-headed monster here. So this bond market's trying to make a move here. So people are selling bonds. Broke this level. Still have a downtrend line up here, right? 50-day moving average, 100-day moving average. Let's see what happens there. Consolidating for a while. Let's see what happens. Okay. Now, we are going to look at that dollar. That dollar, I think, went down a little bit. Yeah. So the dollar, it went up yesterday, and now it's getting sold into a little bit. So it's still consolidating in this range. Just hit this resistance level. All right. Now we go to the VIX. That's our fear gauge. And fear has risen a little bit off this 200-day moving average, the 100-day moving average, right to 50. So we just have to see we're at 18.6 VIX. I didn't get a chance to look at the volume this morning. We'll do that in a little bit. All right, I think we're ready to move on here. And we'll go to the main event. That is your ES and NQ futures analysis. Okay, right here. All right, why don't we look at what happened yesterday? Okay. I'll make this a little smaller so we can see it. Okay. Opened here, pushed right up where? To the tops of these candles, right? And that was all she wrote. Boom, we broke the most traded price of the week, right? Tried to push back up, and then boom, boom, and into the close, it got a little pop. Right there is your month-to-date anchored VWAP. So now, this month, you can see the flat VWAP for the month, right? Because you've had sellers come in, buyers come in, and basically we're at an equilibrium. Okay? Basically, you had equilibrium. All right, so levels to look for. Right? It's always the 50% retracement, 57.89 of yesterday's move. Okay, now remember, this 58, this orange box here, what I told you was that high volume composite node that I said would not be able to be cut through very easily, and that proved to be true yesterday. Okay. Oop. All right. So we know we got a 50% retracement. We have our month-to-day VWAP. We are underneath it right now, but it's flat. Right. So do we actually fall more today, or do we just kind of move sideways? Not sure. But we partially filled this gap. Okay. Total gap fill will be around 57.22. Okay, so the overnight made new lows, but we're back in the mid, right at the midpoint of the overnight. Another key level is last week's highs, 57.70, right here. That's been the overnight highs. There's also a supply there. Okay. Month-to-day VWAP, right in this little box. Okay. Below us, remember, we got a gap, and we have the most traded price of the month, which is around, let's see, 56.70 down here. That would be our destination if this market falls apart. You can see the high volume node right here. Okay. And we got our gap fill. We can put that right here. All right, so let's see what this market does. All right. Let me see for any other nuances. Not really. I think we can get right into scenarios here. We'll start with the bull case. Actually, no, we'll start with the bear case. We'll start with the bear scenario. Okay, so in this box, you got supply, got a lot of stuff going here, a lot of stuff going on here. Overnight highs, last week's highs. Okay, you do have a little bit of a bullish imbalance to this profile. Inventory, where's inventory here? Where do we close? We closed right there. Yeah, it's not really an edge. Okay, so if you're a bear, maybe you get a little buying up here. Try to test this month to day VWAP, right? Maybe even push up to try to get to the overnight high. Remember, the most traded price of the overnight is right here, 57.53. That's where we are right now. If you were to then breach that month to day VWAP again, come through at 57.53, I believe we will fill this gap. That would be a gap fill. Do we bounce there? Not sure. If we take that out, okay, we have demand here, 5,700. Like I said, I think we could move all the way down to this 56.70. But does that happen today? I don't know. If it did, that would definitely say this market is in a tough situation. The buy the dips are going away. Okay. There's a lot of uncertainty right now in the markets. All right, another short side, right, would be, let's say we broke through this, hit the 50% retracement, and then maybe just did this today. Okay, that is your bear. Talk about the bull now. Okay, so the price is right here. So if we're going to talk about a bull zone, we got to talk about the gap fill, the unfilled gap. So, and you know, there's this void of price. Any support in here would be bullish. Okay, so if price comes down, breaks yesterday's lows, and starts to go down to overnight lows, any support in here would be bullish. And I'm not saying this is all out, we go to crazy right up there, but you could basically maybe take out yesterday's overnight highs, because if the market's weak, you should fill this gap. Now, could we come directly to the gap fill and then bounce? Possibly as well. Okay, the other thing that I would look for is if the market starts to crawl up, breaks the overnight highs, right, but then pulls back, you could creep back up, right? Most traded price of the week, 58.14. Don't have a clue. This is just scenarios, right? All right, moving on to the NASDAQ. All right, let's look at the NASDAQ together. All right, let's look at some levels. All right, so NASDAQ partially filled the gap yesterday. Okay. Right now, the NASDAQ is at its lows from yesterday. All right, 50% retracement, 202.5825. That's your 50% retracement from yesterday's move. There's your month to date anchored VWAP. Right there, that's about 201.19. We're underneath that. Okay, you have your most traded price of the month around 198.80 right here. You have overnight high and last week's highs and this supply right here lining up with the month to date VWAP. Okay, and then your gap fill with the overnight lows. All right, that's how we're going to mark this chart up, and then we're going to start with some scenarios. Okay, let's just get right into the scenarios here. We're going to start with the bear case. Okay, let me delete that one part here. Okay, we're going to start out with the bear case. Price is right here. Oh, look at that. It's getting a little bounce back into range, right into the midpoint of the overnight. Okay, so bears. Okay, one or two things can happen. Push up into this supply, overnight highs, last week's highs. Last week's highs. And then you just get rejected. Come right back through. This price is going to be important if we do that. 275 is the most traded price of the overnight. If you rip through that, you're going to break yesterday's lows. Go to the overnight lows and probably fill that gap. Could you bounce there? Possibly. If you don't, you're probably going to get stopped at the 187. I'm sorry, 119. What is this level? Hold on. I don't want to just guess. That level is 198.70. 198.70. Now, of course, if you break that, right? If you break that, you're probably going to go test last week's lows. That is 196.02. Do I think that happens today? Probably not likely, but I have to give the scenario. Okay. And you could just open up. Now we're getting some buying here. Look at this. This was just here. This was just right here. You're getting a little buying. Okay. So, like I said, you could also come up here and just drive down. Okay. That's your bear side. All right. Of course, I think the last thing, you can come all the way up to 50%, and then you start balancing in here. All right. Let's go to the bull side. Okay. So we're at the mid right now, in the mid of the overnight. Okay. And this gap zone is a void of price, right? So any support in there is bullish. So if we come down in here and you just can't fill that gap, you could possibly break that overnight highs and try to go up higher. Same thing as the ES. Okay, same thing as the ES. Now, what else can happen? Right? We could push up, break this supply zone, right? Hold, hold, hold. Try to go back above last week's range. Maybe you move up into the most traded price of the week, which is currently 203.40. 203.40. Okay, that's probably all I'm interested in. If we happen to just fill the gap and go down here, I don't think you're going to get a monster bounce here. So I don't think I would want to. Maybe it depends if how weak the market is. If you just rip down here and it's quick, then it's supply. You could get a little pop. This is not going to be a big pop. This would probably hang out here, or if you did come here, you could just hang out here. All right. That is scenarios for today. Hopefully you enjoyed that. All right. If you did, show me some love. Smash that like button for me. That would mean a lot. Okay. Now, as always, you can join me every morning. All right. Subscribe, set that alert. I'll give you the lowdown on what's going on in the markets. All right. The market news, the economic calendar, the leaders and the laggards. All right. And I just gave you my long and short trade scenarios in the ES and the Nasdaq. Now, those long and short trade scenarios apply to a lot of stocks, right? Because you want to be aligned with the indexes, right, of whatever stock. Now, obviously, some stocks can do outperform the market or underperform the market. Okay, so hopefully you guys enjoyed that. All right, and we have our plan. Right, we have our plan, and this market with the Trump is very difficult. Okay, it's very difficult. You don't know when a news event's going to come out. This month, I think I've had, between this month and last month, I want to say I've had about 8 or 9 trades that have been affected by tariff news or something. I haven't lost on a trade, thankfully, but all those trades were like winners. They were already going to, like, they were already moving away from my entry, like, very nicely, and then boom, all of a sudden I'm stopped. Frustrating to say the least, but this is just the market we're in right now. And there's so much uncertainty, right? We just were on a nice run, and boom, auto tariffs, and then it's all in disarray again. There's all uncertainty again. So that's just the market we're in. All right. And that will be it for me today. All right. That will be it. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Remember, no trades are trades. Stay green. And I'll see everybody tomorrow.